coming through when the growth look good on you. Best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in.
Yes, people. You know what time it is. You know what it is. It's G. We are back again for another post-match reaction. As you guys can obviously see on your screens, Liverpool 4, Tottenham 3 up at Anfield. Absolutely crazy game of football. At one stage in the game, you probably thought it was going to be another Newcastle versus Tottenham result where they won 6-1. Or you probably thought it was going to be another Manchester United-Liverpool result where Liverpool won 7-0. I mean, I thought it was going to be one of those kind of games. You know, didn't really envisage the kind of ending to the game that we, ended up seeing. Obviously, a last-minute goal by Diogo Jota. Just before that, Richarlison had obviously leveled it at 3-3. Yeah, absolute pandemonium. I mean, we've got Klopp. He pulled a hammy. Which I thought was crazy, celebrating in front of the fourth official, probably get in trouble for that. But, it is what it is. But yeah, crazy game, man. Crazy game. Before we even obviously dive into it, guys, please make sure you like, share and subscribe to the channel if you do not mind. Even if you don't like the video, sorry. Just like the video, man. It don't really matter. Even if you don't like it, please make sure you hit that like button regardless. So let's dive into it, man. Yeah, like I said, man, it was a crazy game. It was an absolutely crazy game of football. It's even difficult. Where do you even begin with a game like that? Liverpool, went 3-0 up in the first 15 minutes of the game. Cruising, absolutely cruising. Really good display of football. I didn't even feel like Liverpool were even in, they were like stuck in second gear. It didn't even seem like we needed to try. It didn't even seem like we had to do too much to get into the lead. Tottenham were all over the place. They're coming off of, kind of mixed results. I know they got their 2-2 against Manchester United, coming back from 2-0 down. And obviously the game before that, they lost 6-1 to Newcastle. So, they're kind of coming into this game. They're coming into this game more of a point to prove, to be honest with you, just to kind of, quieten down, fans, the noise from the outside, people talking about them and all that kind of stuff. And Liverpool coming into this game, in good form, won their last few games, coming off the back of a 2-1 victory against West Ham as well. So, I probably thought it would be kind of routine. And after the first 15 minutes, I thought it was going to be another routine victory. I did not see the game panning out the way it did, but it did pan out the way it did. Same old Liverpool, to be honest with you. Just what I've been saying all season in regards to, some of the goals that we conceded, some of the play, all that kind of stuff. But, let's kind of like dive into it, I think we'll dive into the ratings today. We'll dive into the ratings first and then take a look at individual players. So, obviously, here's my ratings for today's game. I'll give a man of the match to Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones, good performance, man. Really good performance. He's really been showing quite a lot of people, that I think, I don't want to say shutting people up, but at the same time, I will say that, myself included as well. I'm not exempt from that. I've had my words to say about Curtis Jones this season. I feel that, he's one of those, it's one of those. Klopp mentioned, obviously, with him being an academy player, coming through the system and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes we look at those type of players in comparison to other players that you may or may not sign. And you think, oh no, I think Paul Merson even mentioned it as well, talking about, he's not a £60 million player that, you've bought in, and, maybe he's not really getting the rub of the green from some certain section of the fan base. And again, like I said, myself included, because he's one of those players, I watched him throughout the academy, especially under Steven Gerrard. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And I genuinely thought that, when he got his chance in the first team, I said it was well deserved. I felt like this is going to be another player, especially under Jurgen Klopp. This was during the good times, by the way. Under Jurgen Klopp, this is going to be a player who, another youngster after Trent Alexander-Arnold coming through the system, playing really good football, good attacking player, all the good stuff. And it's just not really materialized. Now, obviously, don't want to go too far. At the end of the day, Liverpool they're in good form in terms of the wins, but performances wise, it's still a lot to be desired, to be honest with you. But in terms of his performances, he's really impressed me. He really, really has impressed me over these last, few weeks, this last month, to be honest with you. And whether it's he's just found a new home, you can see here, obviously, this is his heat map for the game. Over there on that kind of like left-hand side. I did find that a little bit weird in the game. I will tell you that I did find that a little bit weird in regards to his positioning, because I did think that him and Diaz were at times almost on top of each other. But it worked. At the end of the day, he got his goal. Brilliant cross from Trent Alexander-Arnold, back stick. He was there to finish it off. Really, really good finish on his weaker foot as well. So I felt like it was a good performance in a general sense from him. Obviously, second half and everything like that, the whole team was absolutely shocking, and he was included, in that as well. But as an overall performance, he's keeping things tidy. I know a lot of people don't like that. I know, again, sometimes it's like, why are you constantly retaining the possession? But these are all, I don't want to say it, and I did a video on this previously about the whole Gini Wijnaldum. Are we missing that type of midfielder, and do people want that kind of midfielder? But he's doing essentially kind of like the same things that Gini was kind of doing. Obviously, he's still young, still got quite a lot of way to go. But if he keeps up these this level of performances, next season, he'll find himself, especially in the squad, if he can just kind of stay injury free as well, which is going to be vitally important. For him, because if he continues to keep getting injured the way he has been recently over the last couple of seasons, then of course there's going to be a lot of questions, because it's only now that Jurgen Klopp is actually giving him a chance. Before, Jurgen wasn't really giving him a chance, and at the end of the day, if your manager's not giving you a chance, why would you expect the fans to do so? Fans are especially Jurgen Klopp and especially the Liverpool fan base, they're going to listen to Klopp. And if Klopp's showing you, listen, I'm not really playing this guy, even though he's free, he's not injured or anything like that. Prior to the Chelsea game, a few weeks back, he wasn't even in the squad. I don't think he was even in the squad for the Chelsea game in itself. So there was little signs that maybe he just wasn't really a part of the plans, so to speak. And we've seen Harvey Elliott come in this season playing so many games, and that was kind of almost like Klopp's project in terms of another young player. But yeah, I just think that Curtis is, I'll say, I think he's just proven a lot of people wrong, and he's showing at the bare minimum that he can potentially have a place within the squad of the team. And I think the key thing is that because he's a homegrown player, you then look at it and you think to yourself, okay, yeah, you know what, maybe we could potentially keep him. You never know. Again, I don't know what the summer looks like. With Liverpool summer plans and stuff like that, we might look to buy some more players in that position. So would he get enough game time? Would he potentially look at it and think, you know what, you're buying certain players in my position, maybe I should look for a loan, maybe I should look for a move elsewhere? Who knows what's going to happen? But for now anyway, and for today's game, I felt like Curtis Jones was a really, really decent performance, hence the reason why I gave him a 7. So yeah, that I just wanted to kind of speak on that in regards to Curtis Jones. But let's get on to the rest of the team. Alisson, I gave a 6. Could he have done anything for the goals? Nah, not really. Passing was okay. Alisson's funny. He's a guy who always spends so much time on the ball. Always. And the thing is, I know he's super confident. He's one of those kind of guys. He's just super confident, with his own abilities, and you could say as he should be, to be honest with you, when the ball's at his feet. But there are times when I just think to myself, just release it a little bit quicker. I think sometimes when we're trying to build from the back, especially when you take 10 years to pass the ball, it kind of sets a precedent for the rest of the team. For the rest of the team. And, sometimes that can then feed off into the game in itself. But in terms of his overall game, I don't think he could have really have done, too much in regards to the goals and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, he still conceded 3 goals. So he's obviously a part of that. But yeah, I gave him a 6. We move on to Konate. Oh, Jesus, Konate. I felt that he was really poor. Really, really poor. I think he got himself booked in the game. You take a look here, obviously, at his heat map in the game. Obviously, again, on that right centre-back role. I said it before. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over again. And I'm probably going to between now and the end of the season, so I do apologise. But Liverpool will, in my opinion, need to look at that right centre-back role, because at the end of the day, we saw with how Joel Matip played, even if he didn't score that goal against West Ham, we just saw his overall general play. And I think it was better than a Konate. Now, Konate has his strengths, as I keep saying, excuse me, a fantastic defender. And when it comes to the defending side, can be a little bit rash and stuff like that. But he showed today, man, just on and off the ball, he was just all over the gaff. And again, obviously, you can see by the ratings, it's not just him. At the end of the day, I'm not pinning everything on him, because it wasn't just him, and there were worse players on the pitch than him. But yeah, that role on that side, between him and Trent, I just worried defensively. I thought this system was supposed to be a system where we're not going to be so, suspect on the counter attack. But we just seem to be. It's just like normal. It's just like when we played the 4-3-3 under Jurgen Klopp this season. It's the same thing on that right hand side, and people keep saying, Konate is really good as a 1v1 defender and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's fine. But when you're not in the right positions to begin with, when you do have possession of the ball, when you're not really utilizing it well, all of these things are going to come into play. And Konate has got these kind of, I said it, privately in a group chat, but I said he's got this like bozo gene in him. His isn't strong like some other players, but it's in him. He just has it in him. So there are going to be moments where he's rash, where he's trying to get to the ball when maybe he should just chill a little bit. Maybe he should just relax and, kind of go from there kind of thing, instead of just being so rash. I mean, you could potentially put it down to inexperience, obviously him being young, but I feel like he's experienced enough to kind of know. I know it's a new role, but again, I'm just not really 100% comfortable, with Konate in that position. Not to say he can't play there in some games. There are some games where I feel that having a Konate there might prove quite useful. And I'm also not saying that Konate can't ever really play in this Liverpool defence. Maybe it's just a change of position. I said this before. Maybe it might just be a case of putting him in the middle. Maybe dropping a Virgil van Dijk if you do go out and sign that right centre back. Little things again. We need to. I want to have a squad, full of quality players anyway. To be honest with you, or so if that then means that certain players have to be dropped to the bench, it means certain players have to be dropped to the bench. No one but maybe Alisson. Yeah, in fact, it is just only Alisson. I can think off the top of my head should be undroppable. It's only one position that Alisson plays. But on the field itself, nah, man, I don't think anyone should be undroppable. To be honest with you, I don't think anyone realistically warrants that over the past couple of seasons, to be honest. But that's Konate. Lost possession 10 times. He was good at his aerial duels today, up against Kane and Son. Ground duels pretty decent, and it's so crazy because as I was doing the kind of like research into the stats and stuff for this game, I said, wow, when you look at the stats, you wouldn't even think that Konate had a poor game, but he did. When you actually watch the game in itself, you then start to realize, like, wow, again, stats can be always skewed in one way or another, just depending on how you want to kind of read them. But yeah, when it comes to him, yeah, I just think it's just a position that we should be looking at. I don't think it's all just about the midfield. But the midfield also do need to play their part as well. And between him and Trent, defensively, Jesus Christ, they were just all over the gaff. Absolutely all over the gaff. You look at, obviously for the first goal, but Tottenham's first goal, should I say, you see here, it's I haven't got the picture, before this pass from Perisic into Kane, but the pass that even comes into Perisic, where's Trent? He's so far forward and he's not even in the sixth position, to be honest. He's almost like in that right wing back position, but he's so far forward that he's just in almost in no man's land. Then Kanate obviously tries to I think go with whoever it is was dropping deep for the ball. So it's like, where the hell are you going? Then it leaves everyone at the back. Everyone's trying to run back. Fabinho, we know he can't get back. Trent, he's never going to get back. Obviously, you've then got the whole, Virgil van Dijk thing of, him slipping. This is crazy. I can't lie. I mean, I'm not going to be. It's not going to surprise me seeing the memes, Monday morning flying about. To be honest with you, I say sometimes you just got to own it. It's so funny. I didn't even speak on it, but it's so funny seeing this, especially when Virgil van Dijk obviously came out the other day talking about, his own performances and how he feels he needs to, do better and all this kind of stuff. And then you put in a shooting display, today. So, it's one of those kind of like funny things, but you look at it here and the whole defense, everyone, and again, it because this goal comes in like stages. Obviously, you got the pass that doesn't get cut out. Obviously, players out of position. Then you get obviously Van Dijk. Obviously, that completely was awful defending from Van Dijk. I know he slipped, so to speak, but whatever. And then obviously you got Robertson in literally no man's land. He ain't marking nobody. Whether he knows anyone's behind him, which he should, because you've come over from that side. But even if Kane doesn't score, the guy behind Kane, or I don't know who that, I think it might be Porro, he's in there to score regardless. So either way, Tottenham are scoring in this situation. Whether it's Kane or Porro, one of them is scoring in this situation. So, it was just awful defending, all round. But, that's obviously him. Van Dijk today, again, like I said, he just... it was just a poor performance, man. I don't even know what else really realistically to say. Sometimes I do feel like maybe we are a little bit harsh on Van Dijk in terms of, obviously, because of the level. The thing is that if you set high levels, unfortunately, you've got to maintain these high levels. If you're trying to be a player who's then talked about in these GOAT conversations, when people are talking about, yeah, he's one of the greatest centre backs and blah blah blah, and this, that, and the third. Big up Stefano. When you're talking about players in these kind of conversations, then of course, you gotta injury or no injury, you gotta keep up these levels, because if you don't, when it then comes to games and you're not performing and stuff like that, you're gonna get criticized, bro. It's just how it is. It's how it should be. At the end of the day, if Messi's level dropped from when he went from Barcelona to PSG and he was just automatically just poor, like absolutely piss poor, people are going to get onto him, and rightly so, regardless of the fact that it's Lionel Messi, one of the greatest, if not the greatest player to ever touch a football. It doesn't matter. You have to maintain the levels. And if you don't, then, it is what it is. But, that's just Van Dijk. Move on to Robbo. He stunk. He absolutely stunk today. He, again, another position. The whole defense, to be honest with you, I'm a bit worried about moving into next season, especially under this new kind of tactic, because I don't feel like the defense is that comfortable playing it. I think, obviously, again, like I said, we've done this purely for Trent's really benefit, but I feel like the whole defense might just not be that comfortable. Again, you've played the same way, Bar Kanate, but obviously Van Dijk, Robertson, and Trent, and other players in the team. You've played the same way for the last like 5 years. To then switch it up to then play this whole kind of new kind of football that everyone's starting to obviously play. I don't really blame you in the sense of not being able to play it that well. But Robbo, I don't know, man. Like, hit him down that left-hand side. I don't understand why you keep trying to bomb up. I don't get it. Like, maybe that is the instruction from Klopp. But then at the same time, I feel like it can't be, because Klopp's spoken about, the discipline with Robbo and understanding when to go, when not to go, when to press, when not to press, and, all these kind of things. And when you're playing in a back three, obviously there was a lot of times, obviously, in the game where we're just playing with a 2 and Robbo's pushed high and wide, obviously trying to add to the attack. And I get it. But I just feel like we don't need you to do that anymore. I don't understand why we need him to be there. I don't need you to be up there putting the ball in the box. Unless we're losing, then why are you here? We've got like 5 players who should be able to do that. If not, then obviously in the summer, then that has to be something that we need to look at, because I don't feel that you need any of your back three doing anything in the attacking sense. Stay as a back three. Just stay there. Let the other players in the team do that role. Let Jones do it. Let Diaz do it. Let Jota, Gakpo, Salah, Trent, whoever. Just let them do the role. Why are you here? You're always there and you're just out of position like all the time, kind of thing. You lost the ball 20 times in the game. Your long balls are pointless. You made 7. You tried to do 7. You only got 3 in them. Crosses, poor. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You're passing, yeah. When you're passing back to Van Dijk or into Fabinho to feet or to Diaz into feet, yeah, that's all fine. But in your general overall play, it was just poor, man. It was just so poor. Moving on to Fabinho. Fabinho's a bit of a weird one, man. I felt like I didn't really even see him in the game, but it's like he didn't play so poor. It was like 5 is average. So yeah, it was literally an average performance from Fabinho. Didn't really notice him, if I'm being super honest with you, first or second half. Trent had a good game. He had a good one. Let me take that back. He had a good first half. Second half, again, like the rest of the team, his level dropped off. And then you start, even when, just as Tottenham scored, it's like from that moment that Tottenham scored, that's when his performance level started to drop. You could just see it dropping, a little bit. Again, just like Robbo. Robbo lost the ball 20 times. He lost the ball 21 times. So they lost the ball, give or take, the exact same amount of times in the game. And that is becoming a reoccurring theme with how many times he's losing possession of the ball, whether it be from passing, long passes. I do not care. I really couldn't care less. At the end of the day, you're losing the ball far too much in the middle of the pitch. And that's not going to bode well for later on, in the future. But, in terms of the cross for Curtis Jones's goal, brilliant cross. Again, that cross didn't come from the middle. As we saw, it came from wide right. Wide right. It didn't come from the middle. It came from wide right. It came from the same position that he has been taking up for the best part of the last 5 years, which is Salah gets the ball out wide. He then drops into that kind of right midfield / wing position. He puts the ball in the box. We all know what Trent's about when he plays them balls in. It was a brilliant ball. It was a brilliant ball. But outside of that, I thought it was just a kind of meaty performance. It was a good luck. The team itself, good 15 minutes. After that, it was absolutely crap. But, it is what it is. Harvey Elliott. A lot of people wanted Harvey Elliott to start. I myself wanted him to start in the game, especially ahead of Jordan Henderson. I did not notice Elliott at all. I thought Elliott was so poor in the entire game, to be honest with you. Ground jewels speaks for itself. You only lost possession 9 times, but from when you only had 48 touches in the game in itself, you barely touching the ball anyway as it is. So the fact that you lost it 9 times in those times, so there was really 39 times that you touched the ball and it was anything remotely positive, kind of thing. 34, passes that you made in the game, good accuracy in that sense. But, he was so non-existent in the game. And I don't think he even lasted, that long. So we spoke about Curtis Jones already. Luis Diaz, happy for him to get the goal today. It was a good goal, though. It was a good goal, good cutback from Cody Gakpo. And it was a good finish, man. It was like, when I first saw it, I was like, right, how did he get that in? Because the way he kind of, like, it was like a volley / bicycle kicky kind of thing. It was a good goal. It was a good goal, and it was good for him to get that confidence. Obviously, you could see he couldn't last the full game. So when he came up, I was like, yeah, it's about time, because him and Elliott, they just look gassed at this current moment in time. So yeah, but it was good that he was able to get his goal. But again, just like the rest of the team, after that period of time, it was just non-existent. Cody Gakpo. Gakpo is such a weird player. I've mentioned this so many times with him. He is one of those guys that 1 minute he's here, next minute he's not. And I don't know if that's going to be good going forward, because as I said, first 15 minutes, he was involved. He was doing this. He was getting passes, dropping off deep. He was laying off the ball. He was doing pretty well. And then I just didn't see the guy for the rest of the game. It's like he was just non-existent. I just didn't really understand it. But I've seen it so much with Cody Gakpo, even in this run of form that Liverpool have been in. I've seen it so much with him where you just go missing, bro. Like, where are you? You're missing for large chunks of the game, where we might just need you to almost even give everyone else a bit of a breather, to help out. And, you're just not really even there, man. But yeah, 6.5. I gave Harvey Elliott 4.5, as you guys can see. Mo Salah 6.5 again. Scored the penalty. Thank God he scored the penalty. I actually thought he missed the way he hit it. It looked like it was just about to touch the bar, but he scored the penalty. I'm gonna keep repeating myself again. First 15 minutes, he was involved. He was doing his thing. Again, for the rest of the game, non-existent. Felt like he almost got marked out of the game. Couldn't really get himself into it anymore. Wasn't really receiving the passes from anyone anymore. So he just kind of got himself kind of lost. And then when Mo Salah gets lost, he just doesn't really like to get himself too involved, in the game in itself. So yeah, it was one of those. And then I didn't really give a rating for the subs. But yeah, obviously Diogo Jota, Darwin Núñez coming on. I think James Milner and Jordan Henderson coming on. Diogo Jota obviously got the late goal. Got the last minute goal of the game. Yeah, that's all I can really say about Diogo Jota. Darwin Núñez didn't really have enough time. I put out a video the other day in regards to Cody Gakpo and Darwin Núñez. It's one of those kind of things, man. It's a conversation. It's definitely a conversation to have in regards to what happens next season. But we'll kind of just wait and see. There was a little funny moment between Thiago, Darwin Núñez, and Klopp. I don't know what Thiago was telling Darwin Núñez. They seemed to be fine with it, but Klopp did not seem to be too fine with it. It seemed like maybe he was like, "Hey, what are you telling him?" kind of thing. I don't know, but it's one of those kind of funny things that you kind of see in the game. And yeah, it was like I said, it was a weird game, man. It was a weird game because in that first 15 minutes, Salah scores the penalty. All you think to yourself is, yeah, this is going to be 5, 6, 7s, and 8s. Do you know what I mean? And you could even see it in the Tottenham players, even the way that they were playing. I felt like even they thought it was going to be 5, 6, 7, 8. Tottenham fans were leaving. That was the crazy part. Tottenham fans were actually leaving. I said it in my group chat. Do you know how crazy it is for you to travel from London to Liverpool to leave after 15 minutes? That is crazy for you to have to do that because of how poor your own team is playing. But they were playing that badly, and I was almost starting to feel sorry for them because I was like, bruh, I feel sorry for the fans, obviously more so because you've traveled all the way up here and you're then deciding to leave, but you're only leaving purely out the fact that you're just like, bruh, this team is playing so shit that they're like, why am I staying? What am I staying for? But after that, I think there was a stat the commentators mentioned from the 15th minute all the way up until the 75th minute, and it might have even been a bit longer than the 75th minute. I can't really remember too much after that. It was kind of a blur. But from the 15th to the 75th minute, Liverpool didn't have any shots on target. That is crazy. That is so crazy for the team to not have any shots on target at all for a game that they were actually dominating. I think Liverpool had about 12 shots in the game. I think Tottenham had about 10. I think it was Liverpool had all their shots on target was the goals. So 4 shots on target, 4 goals. Tottenham 4 shots on target, 3 goals. They hit the post twice. Personally, I don't feel Liverpool deserved to win the game. I felt like it was a draw. I definitely don't feel that Tottenham should have lost the game. I'll give them that respect. That they really did come back, and I really did think it was going to be like that game they had against Manchester United. Where they were able to come back in the game, and they deserved the point at the bare minimum. We did not deserve to win that game. Lo and behold, guess who was the guy who's going to score to get it 3-3? Richarlison, coming off the bench, but. There's so many questions. Like I said, down that right-hand side, it does not seem to matter if we play 3 at the back, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't even seem to matter anymore. Down that right-hand side, it just seems to be problematic. And I know people were telling me, yeah, but the left hand side. I know, 100. Listen, the left hand. I don't like that left hand side defensively anyway. Do you get what I mean? It's just funny that we changed the whole team in terms of the system and things that we play. We changed it around because of that right hand side and because of how suspect we were on the counter attack and all these kind of in defensive transitions. We changed it. We put Trent inverted. So then, in my eyes, I thought that then meant, all right, well, that then means that if Trent's going to be inverted, does that mean that we're keeping a back three? So if you keep a back three, you guys are going to be the three defenders here. Trent, don't even obviously come back and defend like everyone should be, but your onus isn't really on the defending side. But he doesn't seem to do anything in that regard, really and truly. To be honest with you, if the ball's not in the center of the pitch or a bit further up from the right back position, this guy is never there. So what's the, I almost feel like, so are you expecting Konate to do everything? As much as I gave Konate a low score, that was just based on his own actual general performance. But are you expecting Konate to do everything by himself defensively? I think Konate's even mentioned that, in regards to, he can't do everything by himself. He's going to need help. So we need to figure out a way to play down that way. That left-hand side, for me, today anyway, Robbo was just poor. But Robbo has just been like I said, he just lacks discipline. He just so lacks discipline in that position, and I just don't feel like he's that comfortable realistically on the ball. Like not as bad as Konate, obviously, but I just don't feel like he's that comfortable on the ball. I feel like really it's just the discipline with me when it does come to Robbo. To be honest with you, so yeah, the whole defense, man, the whole defense. Van Dijk he ain't exempt from this either. I feel like his performances have it's like you're just not really that bothered, so to speak. I don't know what it is with him. The way that you defend nowadays, maybe before you was getting away with it. Maybe when the team was in better form, in the last couple of seasons, maybe you were just getting away with the way that you was defending, because now I don't even feel like teams are scared of you anymore. Whereas before you had that aura that obviously people laugh at him about, but he genuinely had it. That's why people laugh about it, because you actually were probably the only defender in the world who had such an aura. Players weren't even trying to go to you, as in what, go down that side. Myth, absolute myth. What, to try and deal with Sadio Mane, Robertson, and Van Dijk? That's long. I'm not even trying to. You're going to deal with the Energizer Bunny in freaking Robbo. You're going to deal with the tough African in flipping Sadio Mane, and then you're going to deal with the guy with the most aura in the world. Oh, that's a myth. I'm not even trying to. Let me go down the right-hand side. Let me go down Trent's side and Salah's side. Salah's not going to come back and defend. Trent can't defend by himself anyway. So let me go down that side. It's a lot easier, kind of thing. So I kind of almost understood it. But now no one's scared of that anymore. So he just needs to fix up in his own game. Instead of talking about it in the media, just fix up your game, bro. Like I don't need you to come out and tell everybody, yeah, I need to do that. I don't care. Just do it. Just go out there and show everybody with your performances. Show everybody why we spoke about you in such glowing terms. Why you were second in the Ballon d'Or list. All of these things. Show everybody, bro. Show everybody. Maybe he can't. If he can't, then fair enough. Fair enough. That then has to be maybe a conversation that then needs to be had. I know Liverpool fans don't like uncomfortable conversations because we like the players that we do like, and I get that. But sometimes we may need to have these kind of conversations in order for us to be able to move forward as a team. Eventually, these guys are going to go anyway. They're going to get too old to play. So, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. But, that second half performance, it was embarrassing, man. It was so embarrassing. And I tweeted out and I said, I was like, Liverpool trash. Like, how do you go from a position of strength to just pure and utter weakness? But we've been seeing this in the previous games. Because we've won, it doesn't look so bad. Same thing that we've been talking about, that I've been talking about here on the channel about last season. Because you're winning games, no one's saying anything. No one cares. And rightly so, to be fair. You know what I mean? Especially when you go on the kind of runs that we was going on last season. Why would you care? Why would you care if the team's conceding goals? Why would you care if the right-hand side looks weak? Why would you care if this player is not really playing that well? If the team goes on to win 2-1? Why would you care? Now we're not really even necessarily doing that. Obviously, in this run, we are. But we're seeing it more and more, and we're seeing it just more consistently. Last season, we wasn't seeing it as consistently as we are seeing it this season. But this season, we're seeing it so much more. The way the team is set up defensively, the way that certain players are just not really performing. And obviously now, because it's such a big group of players who are not performing well, we're seeing the repercussions of that. But yeah, like I said, man, I felt Tottenham were definitely deserving of the draw. Don't think Liverpool deserved to get the 3 points. But guess what? Who really cares? At the end of the day, we got the 3 points. I think it puts us up into fifth. We're still quite a bits away. Man United, we're just behind them in terms of position wise, but they got game in hand. Win that game in hand, I believe they go 10 points in front with only 5 games left to go. So I wouldn't be worrying about the top 4 or anything like that. But obviously, fifth gets you Europa League, and I think that then means you don't have to play in the qualifying stages. Someone obviously correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I think that means you don't have to play, in the qualifying stages, which is fine. We'll talk about that obviously at the end of the season. But yeah, for today's game, out of 10, I'm stuck between 5.5 and a 6. I'm going to say 6. Yeah, I'll go with 6. I'll go with a 6 as an overall performance from the team. Because it was like the first like 20 minutes, and I keep saying the first like 15, 20 minutes was really, really good. It was in terms of I didn't feel like we were coming out that second gear, which is always good. If you're not even coming out second gear and you're just destroying these teams, cool, we move. And I felt like, yeah, that's calm. That's really, really good. But when you're having 75 minutes of just pure and utter nonsense, nah, I can't have that, man. I definitely can't have that. So yeah, that it is what it is. Obviously, at the end of the day, like I said, we've got the 3 points, and we move on to, to our next game, man. But I'm going to draw it to a close there with a post-match reaction. As I said, Liverpool 4-3. You can see the goal scorers: Jones, Diaz, Salah, Jota with the last-minute goal, Harry Kane, Son, Richarlison. 2 of those goal scorers, you always knew that they were going to have a chance at the bare minimum. Don't be giving these guys chances, because when you do, they are most likely to score. And Son hit the post a couple of times. I think one was offside. They did hit the post. Scores that. It's a different game, totally different game, man. And Liverpool definitely need to fix up in certain respects. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see, guys. But yes, that is the post-match reaction done and dusted. Guys, please make sure you like, please make sure you share, and please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. The celebration always makes me laugh from Diogo Jota. You play too much FIFA, bro. Get off the FIFA thing, bro. get off the FIFA thing. Get off the FIFA thing. Just get back into training. Get yourself back up to full fitness and fit and firing for the team. I'm G. That is the post-match reaction done, and I am out.